fast as possible because I'm kind of like running around right now. We're not running around, but I have stuff to do. Uh, so this is my trade. I made $1,784 today, May 13th. Um, I want to go over my trade yesterday where I made $306 on DDD. Um, if I can get this piece of shit to load. So I'm gonna make it real quick. Um, so yesterday I ended up shorting right at market open. Um, it spiked the day before. So today's Thursday, which is here. So Wednesday I shorted it. The day before Wednesday is two, which is Tuesday. It spiked. Had its first red day. I shorted right here. It came down and it bounced, and I covered into this bottom bounce because I was afraid that it was just not gonna go as I wanted, and I also didn't get to add the rest of my shares because I was still uncomfortable with this stock. I did 300 shares, I believe, and I wanted to do like 600 to 1,000. Um, but I missed my entry. So when I saw that, I realized when I missed my entry, I was like, let me go half, and if it pushes up close to where I wanted, um, I will add, and it did, but I didn't add, and I was hoping that it would get even closer to red to green so that I can short it, and uh, I didn't get that, and it came crash pulling back. I ended up covering for $306 gain, and then it faded even more. I probably could have made $2,000-3,000 if I just waited. So that was May 12th. Um, so um, the next day, of course, you see it falling some more. It had this spike first. So if you cover it into here, you wait for it to see what it's gonna do. The next day, you see that it's spiking. You short into this spike. You cover it into this pullback, and you make your money. Um, but this looks very illiquid to me, which it is. You can see by each candlestick is very illiquid. So I probably wouldn't have traded it the second day. Um, so going into today, shorting this stock FUBO, FUBO, FUBO yesterday spiked, but it only spiked like 20%, um, and it faded for the rest of the day, as you can see here. Um, it spiked after hours, and then pre-market was kind of like not pushing up as much and fading. I had text one of my friends who long the FUBO, um, Fubo, and I told him to sell. I was like, sell your shares, man, because he's an investor, but he likes my day trading and sometimes swing trading, barely, um, but he likes the day trading stuff. So he always asks me about stocks so that I can check to see the SEC filings, the flow, and he wants to know will I short. So if he's willing to short it, if I'm willing to short it, because he knows I'm a short seller, he knows to get out because I'm seeing something that he's not seeing that's gonna make it go down. So um, this morning I messaged him saying that because he always talks to me about Fubo, and uh, I text him and I'm like, "Yo, Fubo's up," and I was like, "I'm looking," and he's like, "Are you going to short it?" And I'm like, "Let me see." And I looked at everything. I'm like, "It is a short, but I'm not gonna short it because I ain't want to deal with it yesterday." And then he's like, "Okay." I said, "You better sell," and he sold. And I went to go see him at work. We went to work, and he ended up saying, "Yeah, it was right. You were right to sell." And I was like, "Yeah, it went down." So that was a little nice story or nice situation. I'm glad I'm able to help him out. So this morning, I'm watching it, and uh, it's not on my radar, but I remembered it from yesterday. I didn't have it on my watch list, but I just remembered it, and I took a look at it, and and it was selling, and it was right next to red to green. It was like probably like 15 cent or 20 cent from red to green. And I entered my order. It started fading um, right here. I was trying to enter my order here. It started fading. I ended up chasing it just before market open, and I got in. I shorted. So I started off with $500 here, or 500 shares here. Then it pushed up, pulled back, pushed up near red to green. So I shorted again. I'm gonna try to see if I can show you my entry points, or tell you my entry points. So the first short was for 1,000 shares. I didn't get executed. So um, then I shorted at 19.10 for 1,000 shares, which is right here. Then $19.10, and then I added at 19.25. So my average was 19.14 or 15 at the time, and then it started coming down, and I was up about $1,200 right here when it came down. It pulled back all the way. Um, it was giving me a really choppy trend, but I'm like, I can tell by the choppy trend is going to give me a choppy trend towards the downside. Just as long as it doesn't really break red to green, I'll be good. So it gave me a real choppy trend. I I was challenging it to see if it was going to break this 1840 level, because pre-market right here was what you call it, pre-market right here. It went down in 19 or 1840, and it pushed back up. So I'm like, I'm gonna challenge this level right here, and I did, and it hit 1840, and because support was right here to me. But this is not real support. This is just where it was being manipulated pre-market. But it pushed up, and I know other traders were seeing that too. And I was challenging to see if it was going to break that, and I should have covered right here, or covered majority of my shares right here. And it pushed up, and I had to add. I ended up adding right here, um, because I was like, man, I was kind of like upset with myself, and I'm like, okay, if I add right here, which is at um, hold on, give me a second. So I added at 1895, to see if with 500 shares, to see if it was just gonna pull back and come down. But it ended up pushing up all the way, and it went to red to green. I uh, it hit it hit um what is it called when it goes black, when the numbers go black. It didn't go red to green. It just went back to its open for the day. So you know how these numbers right here are red, but it turns black when it's at the point where it opened or closed the previous period. Um, it hit it, but it didn't go green. Um, and then I wasn't really paying attention to that. I noticed that, but I didn't recognize. Okay, if it didn't go green, it's not trying to go green. I should have added more here, but I didn't want to add any more because um, when I looked at how much capital I was using, I was at 37K, which is honestly not my real account size amount. Um, I'm sorry, it's not my real account size amount. Um, Not only that, if you calculate what I had from last week, um, I made what, an extra 6,500. If I had my account at 2,500, um, and I added this, uh, um, this 6,500, I would have been at 31.32, and that's still not a realistic amount. So I ended up using leverage at this point. If you want to calculate it being a real trading account, I know I didn't explain this well, but I know what I'm talking about in my head. So it wasn't my realistic trading account number or dollar amount. So I didn't want to add right here where it hit. I should have waited, but I didn't know it was gonna go to this point. So at this point, then I just waited. I'm like, I don't want this to be a snowball effect where um, I add more onto a loser. Uh, and then if you notice, I added onto this loser right here, but that was okay because I wasn't full size. Um, but here I was full size and I added onto a gain because it's under. You see that it's under. These triangles are under. So I was up on my trade and I added to a gain and then ended up losing, but I ended up waiting it out. So my loss potential was $800 at this point, which was more than what I wanted. So it just kept fading, and it would spike up, fade. I don't like this trend, these choppy trends, because it's a lot of emotions, roller coaster emotions, and stress. But I made 2 to 1 on this. If you want, if we don't, if I don't consider this short right here, I was really risking $300 here. But because I added, now I'm risking $800 a loss. But if we consider only 300, I made a um, I made 17. We'll call it 17.1784 divided by 300. It's about almost a 6 to 1 reward. So I made 6 times the money I was risking if I don't include this. But if I do include it, it's a 2 to 1. I made a 2 to 1 risk reward. I'm still glad with the gains that I got. Um, Now I'm really up on the week. I was up 500 on the week, then I lost 450. I made 530 this week, lost 450, then I made back 300. So I was up like, you know, $400, and now I'm like up a few band, 2,000 over 2,000 this week, and I'm happy with that. Um, you want every week to be a positive week. Um, so yeah, so I ended up covering here at 1820 for a $1,784 gain, which I'm really proud of myself. Um, and I feel like I'm really improving in trading at this point. But I refuse to study. I mean, I refuse. I'm not studying, but I refuse to get back into the game uh, without finishing all my studies. And that's not like a it's more of a punishment for myself. So until I can perform better, truly perform better, and get through my studies, I won't allow myself to trade for real. And that's only because I've been very undisciplined. So yeah.